get direct access to the YouTube link. We'll also post that link in this group, in this chat box, and to other in our WhatsApp group. So, sir, are you ready? Shall we start?
Yes, I am ready, Shrikant, if you are all ready.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. So, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to this afternoon session of development in practice. So, this is the third session we started from last week, and I am very, very happy, and it is a privilege that sir is with us. So, let me first introduce you to sir. I am very smaller to introduce sir to everyone, but as a practice to this session, let me introduce to the speaker to everyone. So, Sir T. Vijay Kumar, sir, don't need an introduction. So, we just to inform that he has been graduated from Faculty of Management from Delhi University. Then he joined the Indian Administrative Services in year 1983, and he has been working since from last 28 years and above in tribal and rural development in various capacity, both at center and the state of government of Andhra Pradesh. So present, he is the advisor to Government of Andhra Pradesh for Agriculture and Cooperation and executive vice chairman for Raitu Sadhikara Sanstha, that is a company for farmers empowerment set up by the state government. So before that, all of us know that no, he has a record working experience of leading the Society for Elimination of Rural Poverty from year 2000 to 2010, and me myself joined as a young professional in SERP and learn a lot from Sir directly. And thereafter, he moved to administrator at Delhi, and he led the National Rural Livelihood Mission for quite a great years. And so there we started this community managed sustainable agriculture that later on reflected as a zero budget net farming. And most of you also know the Mahila Kisan Sashaktikariyan Pariyojana, that also in line with CMSA. And me myself, when worked as a YP later on in NRL fellow in Rajasthan, we follow the CMSA structure and that. So right now, sir is in a mission so that where he is leading the government of Andhra Pradesh, entire Andhra Pradesh into a new revolution where they are looking into getting totally into natural farming. And there's a huge number in the first phase. They have been targeting more than 5 lakhs farmers and covering 5 lakh hectares. And the vision of the government that he has led by Sir is like to cover all the 12,900 gram panchayats, covering 60 lakhs farmer, covering 80 lakhs hectares. So as I said, Sir doesn't need any introduction. Many of us, we have been excited and thrilled to host Sir for this. So thank you very much, Sir. In a short notice, you agreed to us. You've been a huge spirit and a lot of motivation that we derive from you. And I hardly can, I can say, no, I've been filled with the messages for questions. So I request all the participants to kindly park your questions. See, I requested many to also go live in YouTube so that we have a better, bandwidth to go through this internet session directly. And don't worry, no, most of us ask me, can we get some time to directly ask question to Sir? I can assure you that you can directly have access to Sir. You can ask question directly. But I also request everyone to, when the discussion going on, kindly look into the presentation Sir is going to make. This is more than a normal discussion. It is like a technical info, technical know-how that we are going to earn. And somewhere or other in life, whether in professional life or a personal life, we are going to practicing this because this is something new normal. This is the way forward for everything. And sir, I am filled with more than 100 questions till today morning. I have filtered down few of them. I have forwarded you. I keep posting those questions. So kindly post your questions also in this chat box so that no, there is no repetition of the same questions. And we with us, we also have Murli sir. So the most of them knows you, sir. So there is no much introduction required. So now I'll keep the session open. And before going forward, just make me the last sentence. So last statement saying that the entire session is dedicated for natural farming because we have been receiving hundreds of thousands of requests that no we want to go for natural farming. There is a lot of conflict, there are a lot of doubts in people's mind how it is sustainable, whether it is profitable, can it be a enterprise venture, is it profit making, or is it only stopped down to a fancy word that organic or natural? So that's why we thought, let's bring the leader who can guide everyone into this. So the session is open, sir. It's all up to you. Kindly take us forward, kindly enlighten us. And after your session, we'll go forward some discussion. Then we'll move out quickly to the question and answer session, because eagerly people has been asking me to talk less and give you the opportunity. They already WhatsApp me. So this is I'm handing over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrikant, and thanks to all the participants from various state missions and NGOs, and some of you may be doing, community mobilization work on your own. And I'm very pleased. And today is a very special day for me when I'm addressing all of you. Right from the beginning of my career, I have always believed that young people have a tremendous potential, and change starts with the young people. And as development professionals, very unique opportunity given to you in SERP, NRLM, and various SRLMs across the country. It's a very great opportunity, and I'm extremely impressed at the quality of work that you people have turned out. And Shrikant said that, my uh, track record is known to everyone. But perhaps what Shrikant doesn't know is that my track record is rich because all of you have contributed to it. So I learn from every young professional. So it's a two-way process. It's not one way. So by your honest and by your dedicated work, you are giving very valuable feedback for policy. And from many of you, I've learned so many things. And that's why I'm extremely thankful to my young colleagues. Swati is here, and along with Swati, other young professionals from RYSS are also here. And of course, my special thanks to Murli. He and I, we go back a very long way. And he was perhaps one of my first young professionals. Now, of course, he is more, of course, still young at heart, and but very mature, and he's such a mentor for all the development professionals in the country. So what I will do is I will now take you through the presentation on the AP community managed natural farming. And I have seen some of your questions which Shrikant had shared with me. I hope some of them get answered automatically during my presentation, but I will quickly go through my responses to the questions that are with me. Then we have some more fresh questions coming up. I would also advise everyone to put your questions in if there's a Q&A box or in the chat box. My colleagues, Swati will take note. I think Shrikant will share these questions that have come, and we can, send you suitable, appropriate replies. And I'm sure, since all of you are working so closely with people on ground, many of these questions will get answered by talking to to the communities. So I'll now share my presentation. Can you see my presentation, Shrikant?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll be discussing this very unique, innovative work that is happening in Andhra Pradesh, It's called the Andhra Pradesh Community Managed Natural Farming. And our vision, our dream is a system-wide transformation. So by 2027, we want to bring all 60 lakh farmers and another 20 to 25 lakhs landless farm workers into natural farming and enable the entire 80 lakh hectares arable area of the state to be farmed without chemicals, to be farmed through natural farming. And I don't want to stop here. With all of you on ground, with NGOs across the country, with the state governments, other state governments, collectively we should aim this to spread throughout India. So that is our ambition, and I'm sure by the time my presentation is through, you will understand why it should be done and how it should be done. And since bulk of you are working with the state rural livelihoods missions, it is very easy to scale up this intervention. I will discuss the scaling up process in a separate segment. Now, you see, country as a whole, we are faced with multiple crises around the food system. So you have farmers' distress on the one hand, where the costs of cultivation are increasing year after year. The water uncertainty is increasing. The rainfall is not the way it used to be some 40 years ago, 50 years ago. There are prolonged dry spells, unexpected cyclones, floods, and then the problems of the poor are even more compounded. The problems of tenants, and then young people migrating to urban areas. And even if the crop is good, there is market uncertainty. So you can see the country, in the country, farmers are in a very acute state of distress. And 86% of our farmers are small and marginal farmers. That means less than 5 acres. And 55% of the population is dependent on agriculture. So it's not the GDP that we should look at, but that the fact that 55%. And as far as I know, 100% of the communities with which you are working, with which SRLMs are working, they are dependent on agriculture and allied sectors. So this is extremely important for everyone, but even more important for the SRLMs. This is that the food crisis. There's going to be acute food crisis. Already India ranks very low on the World Hunger Index. We are in the bottom 15 or 20 countries. So that is a source of extreme concern. Then the food we are eating, is it safe? There are chemical residues on the food. There are chemicals inside the food without our knowledge. So there is the serious health consequences of the chemical residues on the food. But there's one more danger. Perhaps some of you know it, but most of you may not be aware that the food we are eating today, compared to the food that your grandparents ate 50 years ago, 60 years ago, is severely lacking in nutrients. I'll just highlight this before I come back to this slide. This is a survey done in UK. The first study was done in 1940. The second study was done in 1991. So 30 years have elapsed after this study. So the conclusion was the level of every nutrient in almost every kind of food has fallen between between 10 and 100%. That's such a serious statement. So if in 1940, this relates to UK, if in 1940 somebody was eating, let us say, 100 grams of meat, to get the same nutrients, the person has to eat 200 grams of meat. Somebody was eating 100 grams of fruits, will have to eat 300 grams of fruits today to get the same nutrients. And vegetables 5 times to get the same nutrients. And since we can't eat 5 times, 3 times, 2 times, that means we are suffering from lack of essential nutrients. And this is an example of around 27 kinds of vegetables, 40 and 91, 50 years. So copper declined by 76%, calcium declined by 46%, iron declined by 27, magnesium and potassium. So this was the average around 27 kinds of vegetables. Similarly, the loss of nutrients in meats is shown here. So that means we are eating food which is lacking essential minerals, and that makes us unhealthy. That is why the fastest growing set of diseases are what are called as autoimmune disorders. And they don't spare even the children. So this is the crisis. So it's a crisis of the farmers, but they may be, some people may say that's only a very small portion of the GDP. But then 100% of the people eat. So it's a problem of everyone. And this problem is getting worse year after year. And that's the urgency for action. So as if these two are not enough, the third problem, all are interrelated. That's what I'll explain later. So the soil degradation. And as this study points out, 30 to 70% carbon is lost from soils. We are adding billions of tons of carbon to the atmosphere. So soil organic matter is getting into the air. So 10 to 15 metric tons per hectare topsoil is lost every year from every hectare in India. Please understand that. That is the scale of the problem. And as a result, 30 to 40% of world's cropland has been abandoned. So this is the soil emergency. Then there is water stress. All of you, since you are in the field, you are acutely aware of the water stress. And worldwide, 70% of water is used for irrigation, 70% of fresh water. But in India, 84% water is used for irrigation. So that means very little for drinking water, very little for domestic animals, very little for other purposes of water. Then we are losing biodiversity at a very fast pace, and water and air pollution are increasing. So as you can see, there are multiple crises, multiple emergencies. And the COVID crisis, COVID pandemic that we are dealing with is another example of a zoonotic disease. So decreased biodiversity, with deforestation, with increased animal and human being interaction, interface, the spread of zoonotic diseases has become easy. So there is no guarantee that in future we'll not get a more severe pandemic than COVID. So that is the real danger that we are living with. And all whatever crises I have pointed out, they are going to become even more dangerous with each passing year. And as you can see here, this is the temperature, global temperatures, 1988. All India here, this was in 1988. And this is the position in 2018. And you can see this is the projection for 2050s. So this is inevitable. Now, What else is happening? There is climate injustice. So children are going to be the biggest victims of this. So there is a situation that children of this generation will have a very compromised future compared to your own generation, compared to the generation before you, compared to two generations before you. So that is the biggest sin, that's the biggest crime that's being committed, that children who are not at all responsible for this crisis are going to bear the maximum burden of this crisis. Then farm workers, they are least responsible for this crisis. But whether it is sunny, whether it is raining, whether it's cold, they have to do manual work to survive. So again, these are the people who are in the biggest risk. Then women. And in the SRLMs, we are working with the women self-help groups. So it will be our women already burdened with a lot of household chores who will find this additional burden even more difficult to bear. And then tribal communities. So you can see this, that those people who are least responsible are going to face maximum punishment, maximum consequences. And that is the And why is this so important for India? India is the fifth most vulnerable country out of 181 countries in the world. So the risk to India is so high. It's fifth most vulnerable. And India's economic losses due to climate change are the second highest in the world. So this is the reason why we have to do this, take up action. And United Nations has warned that countries must make changes in land management. And that is the critical part, apart from other systems. So must make unprecedented changes on a sweeping global scale in, among other systems, land management. Now, do we have the next 50 years or 100 years to do? No. For this transformation is hardly 12 years. So after that, even if you want to make changes, you cannot make those changes because the systems are breaking down on a very fast scale, and all of you must be reading in the newspapers about what is happening all over the world and in India. And that is the urgency. Now, till now, what we have seen is that the food systems, agriculture, there's a big crisis because of climate change. But what I want you to understand this slide, this very important slide, that the way we are doing agriculture is causing climate change. So agriculture and food systems are not only the victims of climate change, but our current method of agriculture and food system is one of the biggest factors, biggest contributors to climate change. And that so 24% is an estimate of agriculture and greenhouse gas emission. But I've been told by scientists that if you include the transportation of food, processing of food, and the food wastage, 1/3 of food produced or processed is wasted. So they said if you take all this into account, the food system as a whole to climate change will not be less than 50%. So now you can understand why this urgency and why it's important to deal with agriculture and land management. And they hold the key. And what has happened? What are we doing now that is causing losses of soil organic matter? Now, this process started from 10,000 years ago. when agriculture started, when we interfered with nature. So it is not something which has happened only in the last 100 years or 200 years. Yes, it has accelerated over the last 100 years, and it's accelerating at a very fast pace. So these are the causes for us losing carbon sequestered in the soil. Please remember that whatever carbon is in the air, 5 times that carbon is in the soil. And 5 times this is in the oceans. So from the soil organic matter, if it is oxidized or various that we are doing, is leading to this carbon which is there inside the soil to go into the air as carbon dioxide. What are those processes? You have deforestation, you have forest fires and burning of crop residues, then ploughing, deep ploughing, ploughing per se, then keeping lands fallow, overgrazing, unsustainable grazing, excess irrigation, wind and water erosion. What is absolutely new is the last one, the most dangerous one is the rampant use of biocides, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, weedicides. So this, of course, is something which started 70 years ago, 80 years ago. And so as you can see, the agricultural practices, the land management practices, the animal grazing practices are all responsible for the loss of soil organic matter from the soil into the air. And so this is what I want you to understand, that the way we are practicing agriculture is the most important reason for the cause of climate change. Now, is there a solution? Yes. And that's what I want to convince all of you. There is a solution. And what is the solution? The solution is, what can we learn from nature? How do we rectify these problems by learning from nature? See, life on Earth started 420 to 430 million years ago. Life in the oceans started somewhere around 3.8 billion years ago. Whereas life on land mass, life on the land mass started 430 to 420 to 440 years in that period. When microbes from this ocean, a fungi, a algae and bacteria came onto the land surface. Entire land mass was full of minerals, rocks. There was no soil. And soil was created by these microbes. The plants that we see now, the angiosperms, they came about 50, 55 million years ago. And Homo genus is about 2.5 million years old. Whereas Homo sapiens, the present form of human beings, is around, estimates vary, but it's around 200,000 years ago. And agriculture started 10,000 years ago. And the most destructive form of agriculture has been happening ever since we introduced chemicals on top of other destructive practices. So the last 70 years out of 10,000 years have been the most destructive phases of agriculture. Now, what does nature teach us? Because you see, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere are very high, in different phases of life on the planet. So it's only when we had, the green plants that carbon dioxide from the air started getting into the ground. And this soil carbon sequestration, this is a process. I'll explain to you this process. The food is manufactured, all of you know, by the leaves, green leaves, and where they combine carbon dioxide from the air and water from the roots in the presence of sunlight. And they convert it into carbohydrates. So solar energy is getting converted into biochemical energy or food energy. So this food, which is made by the leaves, 40% of this food is stored above the root system, above the ground, the shoot system as it is called. So that is given, used for producing more leaves, more branches, flowers, fruits, grains. So this is a shoot system work. 30% is stored in the roots. So for deeper roots, branches, sub-branches, so development of roots. But please note that 30% of the food that is made by the plants is exuded into the soil. The root exudates 30%. In some species, what is exuded can be even 50%. Now, you may ask, why are they doing like this? Why should a plant with great difficulty make food and then exude 30% of the food? The plant is doing it with a purpose, and this is what nature has designed. It's not what man has done. So this is a process which started some 400 million years ago, and it has evolved on this planet, and the microbes came first. The bacteria, the fungi, the algae, they were here much before any one of us. So this process is perfected by nature over millions of years till we started disturbing it with, plowing, trampling the microbes, killing the microbes with biocides. So what is the role of this root exudates? This root exudate is the food for bacteria and fungi and nematodes. But there are others dependent on them, the protozoates, arthropods. So there's a wonderful world below the ground. So this is called the soil food web. And what is the purpose of this? It's a long explanation. I don't have the time. But what I want you to understand is that the bacteria and fungi take the nutrients, take the root exudates, and provide the plant the minerals that the plant requires. They provide nitrogen, they provide phosphorus, potassium, zinc, sulfur, boron, manganese, molybdenum, whatever else. Every plant, as you know, requires between 20 to 30 minerals. And what it's getting from the photosynthesis process is only carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The rest in nature was provided through this process. And there is virtually inexhaustible store of minerals, nutrients in the soil. But they require the adequate biology to release them, to see that this is made available to the plants. So this is what I'm presenting to you is what is designed in nature. What has been happening ever since photosynthesis process started. It is not today's work. It's nothing to do by human beings. This is a process of the nature. And you see, the roots are influenced by the microbes. So this is called the rhizosphere. At the same time, scientists have discovered that around the leaf surface also, there's a lot of interaction between the leaf and the microbes. And that's called phyllosphere. But what I was very amazed to learn very recently is there is another thing called endosphere. That means there are microbes within the root system, within the shoot system. And there are some microbes which enter the root system and find way out the shoot system. But latest science is saying that even in the seeds, there are microbes, but they are in a, they are in hibernation. So the work on soil microbiome is ongoing. There's a lot of research happening, and this is what I'm telling you is research that has happened over the last 20 years, over the last 10 years, over the last 5 years. And at least endosphere, as I know, at least the knowledge about it is less than 5 years. So a lot of knowledge is being created, and I'll be very happy if you people as young professionals keep yourself abreast of what is happening, because these are very vital processes. They are extremely vital for our own survival as a race. Survival of humanity depends on our understanding. So, as I explained, that the soil food web is responsible for ensuring that the plants get their nutrients, but that's not all. This exchange that is happening below ground is leading to what is called as soil carbon sequestration. That means carbon dioxide from the air is now gone into the soil as photosynthates, as carbohydrates, etc. It's present in the root system, present in the soil. So the effect of the microbes, the effect of the minerals in the soil, and this sugars, this carbon, is they form stable carbon, humus. Humus gets generated. So if you are able to put 1 gram of carbon into the soil, you will improve the water holding capacity of the soil 8 times. That is the beauty of this. So you are improving the water holding capacity by putting carbon below the soil. Second, as I already explained, the nutrient absorption mechanism becomes more efficient, and the 20 to 30 minerals that a plant requires are made available to the plant in the quantity that it requires. And third, the mycorrhizae is responsible for soil structure, for creating microaggregates, macroaggregates, to create porosity in the soil. I'll explain this in this slide. You see, in India, soils have lost tremendous amounts of soil organic matter. It is estimated that in India, we are losing soil every year 30 times the rate at which new soil is being formed. So, after 60 years, if this loss of soil is not stopped, you can't produce any food. That is something you should be concerned, and this is a warning given by FAO. You can read the publication. Now, what are the fungi doing? What are the soil microbe doing? Microbiome, through their root exudates, combining the carbon from that, their own cell surfaces, combining the minerals, they begin to create pores in the soil structures. So you get this position where soil porosity increases and water holding capacity increases because more carbon has gone into the soil. So the work of a healthy soil microbiome, what does it do? It is increasing water infiltration because the soil has become porous. It is also improving water holding capacity. And the third property, which I will actually describe in a later section, that natural farming gives us a very unique pathway of harnessing water from the air. I'll explain that in a later segment. So this is what, if you farm in harmony with nature, you can actually achieve, you can reverse the loss of soil organic matter. You can take carbon from the air and put it into the soil. So that is why this kind of agriculture is actually called regenerative agriculture. What we are practicing, natural farming, it has many names: zero budget natural farming, Jaivik kheti, organic farming. So there are different names. It comes under the category of regenerative agriculture. So you saw in my earlier slide that loss of soil organic matter is creating more greenhouse gases. So if 100 units of carbon dioxide from the air are going into the soil through photosynthesis, the way we are doing agriculture, 120 to 150% of the carbon in the soil is getting into the air. So every year you have a deficit in the soil carbon account. In regenerative agriculture, if you're pumping 100 units of carbon from the air into the soil, depending on how well you do it, only 50 to 80% comes out back as carbon dioxide. So there's the potential to put 50% back into the soil, or at least 20% back into the soil. So therefore, you are creating a situation where you're not releasing carbon dioxide into the air. In fact, you are reducing the levels of carbon dioxide by putting more of it into the ground. These are 9 forms of land management practices which have been recommended as agricultural practices for reversing global warming. Regenerative agriculture, which is what we are practicing in Andhra Pradesh. Conservation agriculture, no-till farming. Silvopasture, as you can see, animal husbandry, trees, tree intercropping, multi-strata agroforestry, restoration of farmlands, SRI, nutrient management, minimize chemicals, and farmland irrigation. All these 9 practices have been demonstrated to have a positive impact in reducing the loss of soil organic matter. In fact, in reversing that loss. So please remember that any agriculture which results in soil organic matter going into the air is destructive agriculture. I also call it as degenerative agriculture. And any agriculture which is having these positive impacts, which is putting carbon back into the soil, is regenerative agriculture. So this is what you should keep in mind. The agriculture that we are practicing, is it taking carbon away from the soil and putting it in the air? That means it is a destructive practice. Is it putting carbon dioxide into the ground and keeping it there? Then it is regenerative. So please remember these. These are the most important things that you should remember out of my presentation. Now, what are the benefits from this? But before that, what are the principles? So whatever agriculture that we are practicing in Andhra Pradesh, these are the objectives. And I call them as the universal principles of natural farming. 1, you should keep the soil covered with living roots 365 days of the year. And why is that? You saw in my previous slide that a plant is every day pushing 30% of the food that it is making into the ground. So therefore, if you keep the ground covered, for as days of the year. That means you are pumping carbon air to the ground as food. And this is food for the microbes. And with this food, the microbes are able to do a number of things, which I now, the second principle, monocropping will not do. You should have minimum of 8 crops. It is desirable to have 15 to 20 crops. So scientists have found that if you increase the crop diversity, the quantity of the microbes produced increases. Above ground biodiversity leads to below ground microbial diversity. And if you do that, then a plant is able to get very easily all the nutrients it requires, because each kind of bacteria may have a special affinity. Maybe there is some bacteria which has an affinity for selenium. It absorbs that, makes it available to the plant. Some other bacteria has affinity for molybdenum. So like that, the requires 20, 30 minerals. And if you have 40, 50 kinds of microbes, then you know it's certain that this plant is going to get all the nutrients it requires. Then third, you should not disturb the soils. So there must be minimal disturbance of soils, because the microbes have built that soil structure, the macrofauna, the earthworms, the other animals below the soil have created a beautiful soil structure which will be destroyed. So no disturbance of soil. Integrate animals into farming, and you know very well dung in our agriculture dung and cow urine, animal dung and urine in stimulating the microbial populations. Then you can also increase the diversity of organic residues, crop residues, dung, farmyard manure, vermicompost. All these are what are as organic amendments, uh, which again decompose and provide carbon. Then definitely these are the no's. Avoid use of synthetic fertilizers and no chemical pesticides, weedicide and herbicide. The pest management should be done through better agronomic practices and botanical extracts. So these are the universal principles. These are applicable across all agroecological areas. These are principles. They're applicable throughout, but the practices will vary. Practices in Jharkhand may be different from practice in Bihar, practices in Odisha, practice in Andhra Pradesh, practice in Telangana. Because the farmer is combining her own native knowledge with these principles and, you know, applying it in the field. Now, what is so special about the Indian natural farming? Who are practicing zero budget natural here with the 4 VNF. The first one is the microbial seed coating. You can see here. So this microbial seed coating is very important, because when the seed goes below the ground, this microbial coating signals to other microbes in the soil that yes, food is about to arrive, you please. So this is signaling happening because of the seed coating. Then the microbial soil enhancement. So the Jivamrita, Ghana and Drava Jivamrit, which is made from cow dung, urine, uncontaminated soil, jaggery, pulses flour, which are fermented for 5 days for the solid Ghana Jivamrit. So if you broadcast them in the soil, they are then, again, they also act as switches. They also trigger the production of or coming to life of the soil microbiome. The third principle is zero budget natural farming is achadana. That means keeping the ground covered at all times with living roots or with crop residues when you don't have, in the summers, in those cases where you don't have crops. So this third principle. Fourth principle, VAPSA, you can't directly induce it, but if you do three, if you follow these universal principles, you arrive at this. So the other thing is botanical extracts for pest management, minimal tillage. So this I already explained to you, what are the various principles and how they operate. And this is how they are made. Many of you will be knowing. If you don't know, we'll also send you videos on how these are made. So now you can see very clearly why in Andhra Pradesh we decided to go in for natural farming, because by making our agriculture into regenerative agriculture, we are addressing all the 5, 6, 7 emergencies that I mentioned in my first slide. There is no other way. The destructive agriculture, the degenerative agriculture is at the heart of farmers' distress, of unsafe food, of lack of nutrients in your food, loss of soil, loss of water holding capacity in the soils, increased pollution. So land management is directly responsible for all the ills that we are facing now and which will continue to intensify in the future. It's only by making our land management into a regenerative that you can safely address all the concerns, whether it's farmers' welfare, whether it's food and nutrition security, whether it's a question of jobs for young farmers in the villages, or environment. So, regenerative agriculture, natural farming is required, A, for not only protecting ourselves, but to protect the next generation. Please remember that. It is to safeguard our collective future. See, planet will remain, Earth will remain. What happened to the planet? The way the temperatures are rising, the way the extreme weather events are happening, or unexpected viruses are coming. So humanity may not be there if you don't wake up by these problems. Planet will survive. Nothing happens to the planet. So that is why the work that you are doing on ground is so important, that it is by mobilizing the farmers, it is by motivating them to practice regenerative agriculture, there is a hope that we can actually protect ourselves. So it is in our own interest, our own selfish interest, our family's interest, our children's interest, that we should do this work. It's not a job. Now, in Andhra Pradesh, we took up this through the agriculture department. I was heading the agriculture department as special chief secretary, agriculture, after I returned from my stint as the mission director of NRLM. So as soon as I came, I knew that this was a permanent solution. So we initiated action. And after 6 months of planning, in the first year, we took up around 700 villages and farms. And year after year, the number increased. As you can see, last year, we all 100,000 farmers and farm workers. So there is a scale up of 17 times in 4 years. So as of now, in Andhra Pradesh, we have a footprint in 25% villages and 10% farmers. Next year, we are increasing the village coverage. It may go up to 30-31%, and farmers and farm workers will be around 10 million, 10.5 lakhs, 1 million farmers. So I'll explain the importance of this figure a little later. So as you can see, we have the landless farm workers as a very important target group to focus upon, because there, all of you know, working in SRLM, that SRLMs our target group remains small and marginal farmers and farm workers. So source of funds, we have drawn money from RKVY, PKVY. This year we'll be drawing money from the German bank, KfW, and we are supported by Azim Premji Philanthropy. About 100 crores grant they gave to us over a period of 5 years, even before the program started. And that's the kind of faith they have in this program. So this is a program at a glance. And for those of you who want to know what are the impacts, so we have done now a very large scale socioeconomic assessments. We have completed a 3-season assessment, Kharif of 2018-19, Kharif 2018, Rabi 2018-19, and Kharif 2019. So in all the 3 surveys, what has come about is cost of cultivation has significantly declined. The yield differences are not significant. Many cases, ZBNF farms got higher yields. The net result is there is a significant increase in net incomes for farmers. Apart from very qualitative impacts, better soil health, crop health, resilience, empowerment of farmers, and dignity of labor. This is the Rabi 2018-19. We'll shortly be, presenting the Kharif 2019 results. And as you can see, our most important crop is paddy. So there's not much difference. In fact, ZBNF paddy has done better than non-ZBNF paddy. This difference is not significant. Maize, similar. This difference is not significant. Groundnut, Bengal gram is significantly higher. The yields are higher. Jawar is slightly lower. Black gram is higher. Green gram is higher. Sesame, sugarcane. So the conclusion of CES is that there is no significant yield difference. So there is no yield penalty. So you should not worry about yield penalty. In cost, as you can see, very significant difference in cost and very significant increases in net incomes. But more than that, there are some areas, especially in tribal areas, where we have got extraordinary yields in the millets. Samalu, Udalu, Ragi. These 3 are the most important staples of our tribal communities. And you can see 60% increase, 500% increase, 500% increase. Paddy is increased by 42%, increased by 66%, rain-fed cotton 79%, coffee by 43%. So on an average, there is no yield penalty. But in tribal areas, we are getting significantly higher yields. So those of you working in the tribal areas should be very happy to know that in the first year itself, the yields in tribal areas are definitely going to be higher. That depends on how well we take these practices to the farmers. And we mainstream the poorest of the poor. This is through homestead gardens, and every family has a homestead garden where they can raise vegetables throughout the year. And this came in very handy during the COVID crisis, so they didn't have to buy vegetables. In fact, they could distribute their vegetables within the villages. And farming is resilient to climate change. You can see here, cyclone, the ZBNF paddy is intact, ZBNF is damaged. They're just neighboring fields. There's also neighboring field. So banana, chilies. So there is greater resilience in natural farming. And we observe a remarkable improvement in health. That's why we are focusing on Anganwadis and schools. There is improved biodiversity. We have a special health and nutrition intervention in select villages where we are also focusing on diet diversity, complete food basket being provided. School children are being engaged in farming. So those are the various quantitative and qualitative impacts. Now coming to young people, you see in the whole world, agriculture is the biggest employer. 1 in agriculture. Whereas there are only 14 million jobs worldwide in IT. Only 1% jobs. So you can see the role of agriculture in creating jobs. And so we have special intervention for young people where we take them through high-end models so that they can earn 10 to 25,000 rupees per month in their own village. And now all states, of course, all countries and all states are looking at post-COVID, what should we do? What are the changes that we can bring about? And I strongly recommend that there must be a reimagination of agriculture, which if you make agriculture profitable, you can create maximum number of jobs, profitable jobs in agriculture. And with migrants coming back from urban areas, it's all the more imperative that we should create profitable jobs in agriculture. So, question of job, food security, and more important is immunity. As I mentioned, foods grown under natural farming are more nutritious. And if you eat nutritious food, you get immunity. And this agriculture can then be a big engine of growth for the economy. And why we believe very strongly that natural farming has a very important role in the COVID, post-COVID reconstruction of the economy of the country. And all of you have a role in influencing your respective state governments, state missions on why we should go for natural farming. And what is our objective? And how can we create that? That means we should take up regenerative agriculture, take it to every farmer, and take it to the entire farmed area. And through innovation called pre-monsoon dry sowing, which I'll explain, a farmer can get crops throughout the year. It's not that you get crops only in one season and then you have to migrate. Not required at all. And then through homestead gardens, again household food security and nutrition in the form of nuts and fruits and pulses from household gardens. So this is the relevance of natural farming in COVID and post-COVID. So cost benefit analysis perspective, we did this some few years ago. We may redo it, but it will become even better now. So rupee 1 invested in the transformation, which takes about 25,000 rupees over 5-6 years for one farm family to transform into natural. And the same family gets around 13 times this investment. They get direct benefits, cost reduction, risk reduction, higher yields, and better prices. And we're not taking into account the other ecosystem benefits, employment, nutrition security, food security, there's other ecosystem benefits. So it is perhaps the best investment that a government can make, that a philanthropy can make. And this is more specific. So this is our cost estimate for converting one farmer on an average 1 hectare over 6 years. And as you can see, 73% of the cost is human capacity building the knowledge and the CRPs. Around 17% is for support to community. So 90% is around capacity building and institution building. So on the basis of this costing and taking into account inflation, we in Andhra Pradesh require around 17,000 crores to bring all the farmers and all the area in the state into natural farming. What is the benefit of doing that? And these are the benefits that we have estimated, benefits per year. If entire land in Andhra Pradesh had been converted on the basis of in consumption, would have 4,000 crores per year in fertilizer subsidy, 4,000 crores per year savings in electricity subsidy. So just 2 years of subsidies saving is enough to fund the whole program. And the rest is a benefit to government. And farmers will save around 7,000 crores every year. So there's a win-win-win for the government, for the farmers, for the consumer, the environment, for the birds, for the bees, for the butterflies. But the problem is it's not happening. This is the world situation. In the world, there are around 570 million farmers. Only less than 3 million farmers are basically practicing organic farming. They are certified organic farmers. Less than 0.5%. This is after 30 years of this kind of NGOs or farms. Whereas in Andhra Pradesh, in just 4 years, 10% farmers have been enrolled. They are not yet certified organic, but they are on the journey. And if funds are not a constraint, if I am able to raise the resources, I can complete 100% farmers by 2027, another 7 years. So that is why people across the world are so curious to understand how Andhra Pradesh has done. Now I'll explain you the reasons for that. But since you're working in the SRLMs, you may not find it very difficult to appreciate this. But first, what are the obstacles? The most important obstacle is the mindset. Mindset of the farmers, of the extension functionaries, of the scientists, of the departments, that without chemicals, you can't grow food. So the addiction over the last 60 years. Then there are vested interests of various fertilizer dealers, manufacturers, pesticide dealers, etc. The other challenge is how do you take it to every farmer? And just giving a pamphlet to the farmer is not enough. You have to do hand holding, complete adoption. And our extension system is broken, you know that. And we need to make it long lasting. It should not be that some farmers do it for one season and then stop doing it the next season. So in Andhra Pradesh, our strategy to overcome all these challenges, we call it 4 pillars or 4 critical innovations. One, the government took a stand. Entire government took a stand that we must farming. Of course, in the interim period, the chemical farming will happen, but over a period of time, this will overtake that. This is the future of farming. So government explicitly emphasize that natural farming is important for government, and government is supporting this. So this is a very big source of support. The second is knowledge. We were very fortunate, the kind of practices within the country as formulated by Sri Subhash Palekar, but in addition to him, Sri Bhaskar Save, and there are so many experts across the country who have created this package of practices for natural farming, which is location specific, but which has all of regenerative agriculture. But having knowledge is not, taking it to farmers is very critical. And that is where, the video made, the ICT comes in handy, which I'll explain in the next slide. But there are 2 innovations which SRLMs know very well. The first and most important one is the CRP system. So extension is done by champion farmers. not by departmental functionaries. It is done by farmers. And that's what a CRP is in our SRLM. And then the women have taken the leadership of the program. So in the program villages, we have almost 1.5 lakh SHGs and close to 7,000 village organizations. So they're responsible for program management, they're responsible for transparency, for collective action, you can see here, then learning from each other, preparing farming plans, their consumption plans, and ensuring that the poorest are included. So as you can see that our program rests on the architecture of the women's self-help groups and their federations. And that's the unique advantage that India has. And that is so important and the NGOs in the country to take up farming because they have these strengths. Working with federations, they build their capacities around life. So this is something that they can take very easily to the members. And this other one is about CRP. CRP here is Mrs. Sarojini Amma. She is a best practicing farmer. She herself is a very marginal farmer, but the knowledge she has gained and because of her best practices, she has changed more than 800 farmers. So what do? They inspire, they transfer knowledge, they provide hand-holding support, and through video dissemination, the knowledge dissemination becomes more efficient. And then we also have farmer field schools. So in our project, we have close to 6,000 CRPs at the rate of 1 per 100 farmers. And we also have like young professionals in SRLMs. We have recruited young agriculture graduates as natural farming fellows. We have asked them to do the farming themselves before teaching others. So this farmer heroes being central to the program is another key to our success. And Shri Subhash Palekar has conducted a number of mega trainings. So last training he did was for 9 days in 2008. Using ICT in natural farming, so whether it is the video dissemination, whether it's the smartphones, whether it is for financial management or looking at the condition of farmers, land and their institutions. So ICT has played a very important role in taking this to the last mile and monitoring work at the ground level. And in this lockdown, in fact, Zoom has played a very important role. Zoom, WebEx played an important role in knowledge dissemination to our CRPs and in monitoring the program. So what do we believe in? That if you have to change one farmer, that means you have to change the entire village. And that's the NRLM strategy also, saturation. All poor people in a village should come together. So the same strategy, all farmers have to be have to participate, and all land parcels, all farms should come under natural farming. So we estimate it takes about 6 years for a village to come under natural farming, and this is the first year a very small number come, but this increases second year, third year, and fourth year. So we have a strategy of for 6 years in a village. And this is the same strategy in NRLM. We said 10 years in a block. So 7 years in a village. Similar strategy. And this is, I just want to talk to you about the latest innovation, water vapor harvested for irrigation. So what I will do, before I show you further slides, I want to show you a film on what this is. In my opinion, one of the biggest miracles that we are able to harness water from the air as a means of irrigation. So, we show you this film. because that's the best way of explaining this. And then I'll continue with my slides. I'm trying to see how to maximize the Swati. Any idea? Trying to see how to. Swati, I'm not able
Yes, sir.
to rejoin.
Sir, yes, sir.
Anything I should do?
Sir, rejoin in a sense you're not able to share because we can see your Zoom screen, sir.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out what happened.
Yes, sir. Maybe, sir, you can just log out and join in again if that is an issue. But we have.
Show active speaker.
Sir, sir, if you can see, there is this PowerPoint presentation down. Just open that, sir. Yes, that's it. That's the one. Yes. Please click it, sir. Yeah. So we have, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've come back. So I'll just play this video to explain to you the water harvesting system.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. నా పేరు భాగ్యమ్మ. మాది సోదనపల్లి గ్రామము, సింగనమల మండలం, అనంతపురం జిల్లా. మాకు 3 ఎకరాల భూమి ఉంది. ఇంతకు ముందు వర్షాలు లేకపోవడం వల్ల మేమంతా బీడుగానే పెట్టడం జరిగింది. మా గ్రామంలో సిఏలు సిఆర్పిలు రావడం జరిగింది. వాళ్ళు డ్రై షూయింగ్ మా పొలంలో డ్రై షూయింగ్ వేయండి అక్క అని అన్నారు. కాకపోతే నేను వర్షాలు ఏమి లేవున్నా మాకు పంట చౌడు భూమి యాడ పండదున్నా అని అన్నాను. లేదక్క ఈ విధంగా చేసి చూడండి, అంతా వద్దు, ఒక 1/2 ఎకరా 50 సెంట్లు అట్లా చేసి చూడు, మీకే అర్థమవుతుందని చెప్పి అన్నారు. సరేలన్నా అయితే వేద్దాంలే అని అనేసి మాకున్న ఆవుల ద్వారా మేము 200 కేజీల ఘనజీవామృతం తయారు చేసుకున్నాము. మళ్ళీ డ్రైషింగ్ వేయడానికి 16 రకాల విత్తనాలు తీసుకున్నాము. అవి జొన్నలు, మొక్కజొన్న, కంది, అలసంద, కొర్రలు, సద్దలు, పెసళ్ళు, గోధుమ, ఉద్దులు, అనుములు, శనగలు, వెల్వెట్ బీను, నువ్వులు, రాగులు, ఆముదం, ఆకుకూరలు తీసుకున్నాం. నాన్ని 3 సార్లు కలియ దున్ని చేసుకున్నాను. తర్వాత నేను తయారు చేసుకున్నటువంటి 200 కేజీల ఘనజీవామృతాన్ని పొడి భూమిలో చల్లడం జరిగింది. నేను తీసుకున్నటువంటి 16 రకాల విత్తనాలన్నిటిని 100 గ్రాములు 50 గ్రాములు తీసుకొని వాటిని బీజామృతంతో విత్తన శుద్ధి చేసి కొద్దిసేపు ఆరనిచ్చి తర్వాత బంకమన్నుతో వాటిని కలిపేసి మళ్ళీ మా 50 ఆ తర్వాత మల్చింగ్ మెటీరియల్ ను మామిడాకులు, వెండిన గడ్డి, వేరుశెనగ పొట్టు మా పొలంలో 3 ఇంచుల మందంతో కప్పి ఉంచడం జరిగింది. ఆ మల్చింగ్ ఎందుకు వేసినామంటే పైన భూమిలో తేమ అనేది ఆరిపోకుండా మొక్క కట్టడానికి, తేమ శాతం పెరగడానికి నేను మల్చింగ్ వేసుకున్నాను. అలాగే భూమి కోతకు గురి కాకుండా ఉండడానికి, మా పొలంలో గడ్డి కలుపు మొక్కలు పెరగకుండా ఉండడానికి ఈ మల్చింగ్ ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. విత్తనాలు చల్లిన తర్వాత మల్చింగ్ వేసిన తర్వాత 20 రోజులకి వర్షం రావడం జరిగింది. విత్తనాలన్నీ 16 రకాల విత్తనాలన్నీ మొలకెత్తడం జరిగింది. మొలకలు వచ్చిన 15 రోజులకు జీవామృతం పిచిక్కరి చేశాను. 5 లీటర్ల జీవామృతం తీసుకొని 100 లీటర్ల నీటిలో కలుపుకొని మొక్క తడిసే విధంగా పిచికరి చేశాను. నేను వేసిన 16 రకాల విత్తనాలు ఒత్తుగా మొలకెత్తడం వలన వాటిని ఒక రకానికి ఒక ఉంచి మిగతావి తీసి వేసిన మొక్కలను అలాగే మల్చింగ్ వేయడం వలన ఇందులో ఎలాంటి చీడపీడలు కనిపించలేదు. అలాగే మిత్ర పురుగులు, తేనెటీగ, గొల్లబామ, సీతాకోక చిలుక, తూనెటీగలు ఎక్కువగా ఉన్నాయి. నా భూమి చౌడు భూమి అయినా కూడా నా పంట దాదాపు 6 అడుగులు ఉంది. ఇంతకు ముందు ఎప్పుడు ఈ విధంగా లేదు. ఈ డ్రై సీయింగ్ లో నాకు మొదటిసారిగా పాలకూర, గోంగూర ఇంటి వాడకానికి తీసుకున్నాను. మిగిలిన పంటలన్నీ కూడా పూత కాయ దశలో ఉన్నాయి. ఇవన్నీ కూడా నేను మార్కెట్ లో కొనకుండా పండించుకుంటున్నాను. వీటన్నిటిని కూడా ఎలాంటి రసాయన అవశేషాలు లేకుండా ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం ద్వారా పండించుకోగలుగుతున్నాను. తద్వారా మంచి ఆరోగ్య జీవితాన్ని కొనసాగిస్తున్నాను. నేను పెట్టిన పెట్టుబడి విత్తనాలకు 300 రూపాయలు, ఘనజీవామృతానికి 300 రూపాయలు, ఎద్దులకు భూమి దున్నడానికి 1000 రూపాయలు, మల్చింగ్ కు 2000, మొత్తం 3600 ఖర్చు పెట్టినాను. నేను పెట్టిన పెట్టుబడి నాకు సజ్జ పంట ద్వారా వస్తుంది. మిగిలిన వచ్చే పంటలన్నీ మాకు మిగులుబాటే. వర్షాలు లేకపోయినప్పుడు కూడా ఘనజీవామృతం మల్చింగ్ చేయడం వలన చౌడు భూమిలో కూడా పంటలు పండించుకోవచ్చని తెలుసుకున్నాను. ధన్యవాదాలు.
So that is the miracle that you are seeing, and it is possible to do this anywhere in the country. And that will be our objective when we take it up in your respective states, and this is what you should be aiming for. Sorry. Yeah, this is what I wanted to explain. In tropical countries like India, we have in the air up to 50,000 parts per million of water. Means 5% weight of air is actually water. And that is also equivalent to 10 times all the freshwater rivers. It's like 10 rivers of water in the air. Now just imagine if a very small portion of that can be tapped as a means of irrigation. And through natural farming, we are able to establish that it is possible to do so. And that is giving us results. Now, to take you through what happens to the fall on our out of 100 raindrops, only 2 drops are stored in the big dams. So when anybody talks of agriculture, irrigation, they only talk of the big dams, but only 2 drops are stored there. 12 drops are there in our rivers and streams, and they go into the ocean. Then 36 drops are involved in the plant. So they go into the soil, they are there in the plants, or they are evaporating or transpiration. Good, this is green growth. And 50 drops are runoff. So in natural farming, one objective is how do you minimize this? And you can see from this slide, by improving water infiltration, by improving water holding, we are able to ensure that 50 drops, some of it actually goes as green growth. What I'm referring to in the subsequent slides is how to harness water in the air, which is there up to parts per million. You saw in that video, Bhagyamma explained. And in her village, there was no other farmer with rain-fed lands who could take a crop. Nobody could take a crop except her and other 5 farmers who followed what we call as the PMDS method. So we developed protocols. We experimented on this in 2018, and 2019, almost 12,000 farmers took it up between April to September before Kharif, and during Kharif also, because rainfall was very scanty in many districts. So last year we can take it as a proof of 12,000 farmers. This year, as on 80,000 farmers have taken up pre-monsoon dry sowing, and around 50,000 acres has come under this. And as you can see, there are different districts, they've got crops from this method. So we have 6 months, April to September, we call it pre-monsoon dry sowing or window 1. October to March, we call it window 2. Rabi dry sowing and summer sowing. So that means a farmer doesn't have to depend on the monsoons. We have created a mechanism where farmers can take crops throughout the year. And there cannot be a more effective poverty eradication measure enabling poor farmers throughout the year. And this is one example of a farmer in Anantapur. He did the sowing on 4th July. So the sowing is done on dry soil. You can see this is a dry soil. And it rained after 10 days. On 14th July, not much, 15 millimeter. It's actually not, unless there's 30 millimeter rainfall, the department will not advise sowing of the seed. And then for next 41 days, there was no rainfall. There was in August a 20 mm rainfall. Of course, then again 20 mm in September. So till middle of September, there was hardly any rainfall. But on 27 September, there was a thunder shower, 200 mm rainfall. But you see, monsoon started on and ends on September 30th. And the entire monsoon period, there was hardly any rain. It's only during the ending that the monsoon came. So, similarly, no farmer there also took a crop. But this farmer and another 5-6 farmers in that village took up. He actually had sown 29 kinds of seeds. Same product you saw in the film, and you can see his crop condition, the crops harvested, and this was the situation. Visited his field along with Walter Yenna, scientist from Australia, who actually mentor in this. That I learned that it's possible that there is so much water in the air, and that gave me an idea that why we can't use the natural farming protocols to tap this water from the air. And Walter spent 12 days with us in November, and he gave a lecture in Niti Ayog. I had invited some of the state mission directors. So what he mentioned was that pre-monsoon dry sowing through ZBNF in Andhra Pradesh is a global breakthrough. It is India's unique contribution to the world. Now, what did he find there, which was so amazing? He told me that he estimated that crop there as anywhere between 12 to 15 tons per hectare. That means the crop has already consumed 15,000 tons of water. It was 1 gram biomass. But from the rainfall figures, only 4,000 tons of water came from rainfall. That means there's 11,000 tons of water to be accounted for. And this 11,000 tons of water, 80% of that is what he estimates has come from the plants absorbing water from the air. And that is why this is such a critical breakthrough. And there's a lot of work happening on this after Walter came here. Other day we had a discussion with him. He told me that scientists in Australia are working on this. He's helping us to design experiments to test how this water has come, what can be done to improve our methods. And he hypothesized that there could be different methods, biological water, water from the soil film, water film on the soil surface, then the mycorrhizal fungi extension. But the biggest source of water is after the germination happens, after the leaves come, is how the shoot actually harvests water vapor. But this is in the process of being tested. But as the farmers are concerned, as far as we are concerned, we have robust protocols for taking it to the farmers. And that's what we have done. 80,000 farmers now, and we plan to take another 80,000 farmers after Rabi. So this is a slide which this itself will require another half an hour lecture. I will not go into this. It only means that there is a solution to global warming, and that solution rests on keeping the soil covered with diverse crops 365 days of the year. So Walter Yenna cooling was still now to emissions, but it is important to focus on the water cycle, the carbon cycle, and the cycles. He believes very strongly that zero budget natural farming or regenerative agriculture and PMDS hold the potential for reversing climate change. And that means our women I'll send you videos. We have videos, learn from that. And we have collaborations with variety of scientific institutions marketing institutions, and with global institutions. We have FAO collaborating with us, UN Environment, CIRAD is the French Government Agriculture Development Agency, World Agroforestry Center, University of Walter Yeni, Australian scientist, climate scientist, and their national institutions. Then we have KFW now and Azim Philanthropy and GIST Advisory. So, these are the potential partners from various countries. There is very huge interest in what Andhra Pradesh is doing because these institutions believe that solution for humanity, solution for saving humanity is there in the work that we are doing in Andhra Pradesh. Now imagine how strong we can be if this work is done in all the states, in all the villages, and the SRLMs are uniquely situated in collaboration with Agriculture Department. SRLMs are uniquely situated to take this to scale. And yes, with this I conclude my presentation. I like this quote which Swati has given. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow from our children. So when you do work on natural farming, keep in mind the face of your child. You are doing it for them, for their future. It's not a job. It is so critical for our own survival. And also, please remember, time is running out. So I'll stop here, and I hope this is something which is useful to you, and I look forward to the discussions that follow. What I will do is after the next one or two speakers have discussed, reflected on what I've said, I will give a brief reply to the questions that are already posed to me. But now also I look forward to answering questions from you. Thank you very much. And I must compliment Shrikant, compliment all of you for having come together to enhance your knowledge, to understand the rationale of your work. And I hope that today's talk would have served some purpose to all of you. Thank you. Shrikant, now to you.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. And this is the much needed words that me and the team that we are working together to bring the all the change maker leaders who have been working in field, providing the evidence for the references or concept of proof they have created at field. So thank you very much, sir. And I was just going through the presentation that bit by bit and also matching that to the question that I have posted you. I think the entire presentation is answering every question that I have. And just before we going further, sir, let me always the participants, please don't WhatsApp me your questions. It is very hard to check the questions, the WhatsApp box because it is already filled. So whatever questions you have, kindly put that into this public domain. You just put your chat and I can see the huge question following up. And I have also, so keep hold your questions. Spark, no, I already, openly we declared that there's no time limit to this session and we'll continue till it over. So I extended the time of booking and everything to this Zoom because the session is very interesting. So may I, sir, instructor, and inform a lot of things that is happening. So may I also request Swati and Murli sir to pitch in and also have take the discussion forward because they have been in partner with all the noble work that has been happening in Andhra Pradesh related to JVNF. So both Murli sir is there, Swati is there. So may I request both of them to chip in and take the discussion forward. So once they come up with their own experiences and know-how and giving another supplement boost to the what sir already spoken, so then we'll open the session for taking the question answer. and everyone is, sir, asking me, can we have a direct dialogue with sir in my WhatsApp? So may I request, I can go for 2 or 3, but not more than 2 or 3, because it will be hard to unmute so many people. Yes, sir. Hello. Your audio has to be unmute, sir. You are saying something I am not able to hear.
Unmute, sir. You need to unmute, sir.
Yeah, Shrikant.
Yes, sir. I unmuted. I
Yeah,
did.
what I suggest is, I'm seeing some questions here. I would actually like
Yes, yes.
Shraddha Vekhande. She has asked some very interesting questions, so I'll ask her to speak first.
So shall we, sir, answer like this? Because in my WhatsApp, I have more than 100 people. They've been requesting, they want a direct dialogue. So it will be very hard to do that.
Shrikant,
One
don't
second.
worry, don't worry.
Yeah.
You just ask, you unmute Shraddha, she will answer. Let us see what happens.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
What I can do is I am unmuting all the participants. So
Don't unmute all of them.
whoever
Those
Just
who raise
unmute
their hand.
Shraddha. Just unmute Shraddha.
Those who raise their hands. So first
Yes,
unmute
yes.
Shraddha. She has asked number of
Yes,
questions.
Shraddha, I have unmute you. Please raise your
Yes,
question.
sir.
I have unmute
Good
you.
evening. So, Shraddha here.
Please introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. I'm Shraddha.
Shraddha, you go ahead. You are silent now.
Is there some problem in her connection?
Yes.
No, she is unmuted. Shraddha, please, are you able to?
Maybe you can switch off the video and ask the question, Shraddha. I think there's some problem with her connectivity. Yeah. Yes. Shraddha, please speak now. Yes, unmute.
The host. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, something happened.
Ah.
Yeah. So I had come across articles which are.
So please introduce yourself. Where are you working?
I'm a student, PhD student at IIT Bombay.
Okay.
From the Center for Technology Alternatives for Rural Areas. So Sitara, we have
Yes,
a department.
I've heard of them. Yes, very
Yes.
very good institute.
So I did my master's and then I continued it to a PhD program. So, and my topic is around soil health. So it's just my first year, so I've not like zeroed in on what exactly is soil health, but I'm looking around at literature and trying to grasp the concepts of soil health and what all is happening. Hello?
Okay, I see your questions, whether scientific or unscientific, isn't it? Now,
Yes.
Yeah. You see, what I have told you is a process which has happened in nature, which has been happening for the last 420, 430, 440 million years. So, is nature scientific or unscientific?
It's certainly scientific.
Yeah. So, and we have reached a dead end. What I suggest is, I'm not talking about ZBNF. I'm talking about regenerative agriculture. So we have gone beyond ZBNF. We have many practices, many protocols, and we have got the best of scientific institutions working with us. There is a recommendation to FAO which talks about agroecology as essential for meeting the global food security. So please don't be misled by people who call this. That means you're calling nature as unscientific. So if that is unscientific, yes, we are unscientific. If nature is mad, we are mad.
But then, sir, I was thinking that are they like? Is there a need to like properly document all these processes? Is that something that is being missing?
There is a lot of documentation already happened in US, in Germany, about how these processes work. You see, it's like law of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
If you throw a ball, will it come down or go up?
Sure, it will come down.
That's right. So these are principles of nature,
yes,
which are being understood now. So there is more than adequate proof, and there is very little proof that the current way of, if you have an agriculture which is soil organic matter year after year, even if somebody calls it scientific, will humanity survive? If you lose soil organic matter, what happens to the soil? It becomes sand or
Yes.
clay. Nothing will grow.
Right.
Soil is living soil. So how do you make soil into living soil? Only through biology. There is no other way. And as I said, this is 440 or 420 million years of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't be misled. There's a lot of science behind what I have told you,
Mm-hmm.
and I have not said anything which is unscientific.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Soil. No. The soil should not be given any rest. Soil doesn't require rest.
Acha.
Soil requires to be fed every day.
Okay.
Don't you require food every day?
Sure. Yes.
Why do you think soil requires rest?
I read, I think that soil needs to be like in the
No.
summers
A
or
lot
something.
of these things
Okay.
to be, rewritten. A teaspoon of healthy soil contains 7 billion microbes.
Yes, 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 I read that.
Don't they require food to eat?
Yeah.
Give rest, what will happen? They go into hibernation.
Mm-hmm.
So again, they have to come back to life. No, that's a very wrong thing.
Okay.
And ploughing the land, Manasa, there's one more question from Manas. Yes, should we cover the land all the time? No, we should not. We should not plough the land. So, yeah, what I will do is, I have some questions which Shrikant had sent me. I will go through them. Many of them have, but anybody who wants to ask questions can raise their hand. Can go. I mean, it doesn't matter. So,
Yes.
how SRLMs can take up natural farming in scale, that I have already explained. But what I would like, and that's what I have written also, that you people, those who are interested in taking this dialogue further, so from each rural livelihoods mission, to please send your details to Murli. We can have a further dialogue on how respective mission can take it up on scale. So therefore, and in that discussion, we'll tell you how NGOs and FPOs can have a role to play. Then there's one question to say in asking whether people lose 2 to 3 years to get the benefit out of natural farming. I would say no. A farmer gets benefit from the first year itself, but they don't have to do their entire plot of land. You saw in the video, she has 3 acres of land, but she did it on 1 acre of land. So let a farmer experiment, whatever is their degree of comfort. And you see, in the last 5 years, we have improved our package of practices much better than they were in the first year. So we can save time for the states. We can ensure that your farmers get the best of our knowledge, so they can save 5 to 7 years. So we can ensure that farmers don't lose income, so it doesn't require any great gestation period. Is it scientifically proved that natural farming generates high yield? Yes. Other question is providing subsidy for fertilizers. And yes, there is, government has this contradiction. We have to achieve a tipping point. If 10% farmers in every state start practicing natural farming, government policy will change. We can't wait for government policy to change. We have to, that is our advantage. We're there in the field, so we should take it up ourselves and show that it works. Yeah, the others are not directly relevant to natural farming. Of course, one is about certification. Yes, we'll go through certification also separately. There is a need for converging with Mahatma Gandhi Narega. We are doing it in Andhra Pradesh. I will let you people know what is the convergence that we are planning. Then how to attract young people into natural farming as a new enterprise. I already explained that we have a program for the youth to see that they are able to, get very good incomes through natural farming. And do you think natural farming can uplift women's economic and social status by recognizing their labor? Yes. And this, of course, is a very last one, is an important question. How to recognize women as a farmer when most of the land titles is in the name of men? Yes, I mean, this goes beyond our discussion on natural farming. This is a very important question, but goes beyond our, question. Yes, please. So if people can raise hands, and then I'll request Swati to all. Anyone can raise hands, and we can answer your questions.
Shrikant, you make Swati co-host so that she will be able to straight away mute the person.
Yes. I'm also putting
Manas, can you unmute you? Manas?
Manas, we have unmute you. Please see.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So my question is still the same.
Please introduce
Do
yourself.
we need to cover this land
Hello,
all
Manas.
the time,
Manas.
like 365 degree?
Hello, Manas.
Yeah.
Yeah, please introduce yourself before going to the question.
So I'm Anas. I'm from IT background. I'm with TCS for last almost 20 years now. So I visited so many countries across globe, from northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, almost major countries. So I realized that there is a big need of organic farming. Obviously, this natural farming is quite similar with zero cost organic farming. So I have a big land in my village where people are not ready to cultivate now, not to go for agriculture, because the government policy of 2 rupees per rice, 1 rupee something.
Okay. No, please ask me a question.
So my question is, do we need to cover the land all the time, or we need to expose the land sometime to just kill the germs or any insects?
No. So as I told you, keeping the land covered serves multiple purposes. First and foremost, a living plant is donating 30 to 50% of the food it manufactures to the microbes. So you have a healthy soil microbiome through the root exudates. Second, a healthy plant transpires. So it cools the surface.
Okay.
And if you have a healthy soil microbiome, they themselves take care of the parasitic or those which are harmful to the plant. So there is no need. There's a wrong practice that you should do summer plug. So it's like somebody tells you that don't eat night, so that you'll kill all the germs and you'll be so not required.
Okay.
It is only when you see in the forest, there is some greenery throughout the year, and that is what nature wants. Yeah. Next, please.
Okay, thank you.
I've asked Honor 7C. I've asked you unmute you. Can you please ask your question? Honor 7C. Yes. Please speak. They have again unmuted. Anybody else who would like to speak, please raise your hands. Okay, I'm unmuting Jyotirmay Bala.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Jyotirmay.
Yes. Jyotirmay, please go ahead. Sir,
problem?
yeah, they've put the question in the chat box, sir. Enlighten me with large farmers taking up ZBNF venture, if they can take up the venture, in which crops it is suggested.
Yeah, but I thought SRM is working with small farmers. So it depends, the large farmers, depending on market, but we don't suggest one crop. It should be depending on the, yes. Yes, please. Jyotirmay, you can speak.
They have muted themselves. Mohan wants to speak, sir.
Oh, okay.
Mohan, please go ahead.
Hi, sir. This is Mohan here.
Yes.
Sir, I'm for an NGO on women empowerment stuff. I would like to understand on current organic products which are marketing as organic, and that is my first question. And one is like, I heard that the chemicals which we used in 1960s, 70s are still there in the soil. So what is the output? Is the crop which comes out of natural farming now completely chemical free, or to what percentage we can say it is chemical free?
Yeah. What is your first question? I didn't understand.
The organic products which are available in the market now, are they really organic, or?
Yeah. How can I say that? So it depends on a traceability system. Currently, that is not available in our country. So through a blockchain mechanism, if a customer can know from which farmer's field it was grown, what practices were used. So we still have a long way to go there. But rather than going blindly by organic certificate, I would trust if it's come from a village, everybody has stopped chemicals, or if you know the farmer. So there's a new standard which I would say trust value chains. It should be based on trust. And hopefully we are not yet there. And of course, there are some reputed companies where they take a lot of care. But as I told you, the area under organic farming is so limited. So the production that is claimed to be organic is perhaps 3 to 4 times higher than the actual area under organic farming. So you can conclude, you can draw your conclusions from that. The second thing that you raised is a very interesting point, that there are chemicals in the soil. And can we say that, that chemical is not found in the plant? Yes. You see, this, of course, what I am telling you now will take another very big lecture on why it is so. The nutrient absorption mechanism is different when the soil organic matter increases. So when you have plenty of the mycorrhizae, the fungal mycorrhizae, then they do what is called as selective absorption. So if a plant requires, let us say, aluminum is harmful for the plant. It requires only, let us say, 1 part per million. But even 10 parts per million of aluminum, if you do regenerative agriculture, the mycorrhizae will not allow more than 1 to get into its hyphae. So it does a filtration system. So if there is plenty of cadmium, it won't take that. If there is too much of potassium, it won't take that. But if there is something inadequate, it will go further to concentrate that. So it is a permeable membrane. And that is the beauty of regenerative. That if you improve the soil biology, then you can have selective absorption of nutrients. Plants may require very trace quantities of selenium. So they will go out and bring that. So let us say in eastern parts, there's a lot of arsenic in the rice. And if you don't do regenerative agriculture, so whatever arsenic is in the soil will get in through the root system into the grains. But if you have I have not yet done this experiment. I am planning to do that if there is some state in Eastern India which is interested in this, because West Bengal is very badly affected by arsenic in the rice. So we have to test it. But from what I have read, from what my farmers are telling me, the action of the soil microbiome is such that it does selective absorption of nutrients. So yes, these chemicals are there in the soil. So many chemicals in the soil, but all of them are not going to go into the root system. So if you have a living soil, then it will prevent some of these harmful chemicals from getting into the root system. So it all depends on how healthy your soil is, how well that soil microbiome has been nurtured, and it takes some time. Maybe contaminated soil, it won't happen from the first year itself. It will take time. But yes, it is possible to keep away these chemicals from your food system by ensuring that you have a healthy soil biology. Yeah, next please.
So there were two questions in chat box, sir, which needs to be addressed. iPhone, can you ask your question on Jivamrutam? Just a second. Yeah, I'm just unmuting. Yeah, please unmute. Yeah.
Yes, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Please introduce
Hi,
yourself.
I'm Aditya Dhuri from Panvel, and I run an organization called Gomata Naturals. And what we focus on is cow-based natural farming and empowering the villagers, and in a way, bringing back the ancient way of lifestyle to the city. And I'll come to my question. I've been practicing ZBNF for the past 4 years, and starting this Kharif season, I'm also trying a few new things, natural things that I'm adding to my farm. So I would like your opinions about Jivamrut and waste decomposer for one, and then adding Bijamrut with Trichoderma and Azotobacter and a few more microbes to the seeds, along with ZBNF. And the other new thing that I've seen a lot of farmers in Vidarbha in Maharashtra are using is called Doodh Gur and Andi, meaning milk, jaggery, and eggs as growth booster, like something like garbage enzyme or Saptadhanyankur. Also, know about nodal farming. For the past, say 1.5 years, I haven't tilled my farm yet. And how far will it be successful with rice cultivation or paddy cultivation about nodal farming? And the next thing is how effective is uh, making lakes and say catchment dams in areas of natural farming to reduce the depletion of groundwater level, and how far are you practicing the reduction in harvesting the groundwater? Also, the other parts of natural farming like Vedic farming or using Agnihotra ash as a fertilizer or as a pesticide, or to give good vibes to the farm. And coming out of the farm to the village economy, I'll also like your opinion on the ever-growing foreign weeds in our fields, not only fields but even grasslands or gochar bhumis, which are not edible to our cattle as well, and replacing them with some useful weeds like Stylohamata, which is called Myelamenid because it grows by that speed.
Yeah.
So yeah, these were a few questions of mine.
Okay, I think you asked many questions, so let me see if I remember all of them. And
yes, sir.
Some of them. First and foremost, I would strongly advise the soil should be covered with very diverse crops, and please see that those are useful for the animals as fodder, because the biomass should be useful to the animals. So definitely I would not advise covering it with weeds which are not eaten by animals. So that, no. The question that you asked about, Drava Jivamrita and mixing various other pseudomonas and other fungi or bacterial. So this is all, farmers' beliefs. And try different practices. First, to establish exactly which microbe is doing what work will take another 20, 30 years. We don't have that. We don't have that exactitude, and nature is very diverse. See, below the ground, hardly 1% of bacteria has been characterized. Like you must have heard of Christ. But every kind of bacteria can fix nitrogen. People are under the impression that it's only rhizobium that can fix nitrogen. Okay. So that is not true. So the knowledge about the microbes in the soil, we are at a very initial. The next 10 years, 20 years is actually going to be the decade of where we get more knowledge. So what we have are practices. Different people have different practices. So it's only through trial and error. I don't think scientifically somebody can establish that addition of this 10 grams of this particular bacteria had this effect. You trial and error. If something works well, you continue it. If it doesn't work well, don't do it. But from what I could make out, that it is more important that you keep living roots in the soil. You keep diverse roots in the soil. You have pulses, you have millets, you have oil seeds, tubers, flowers. So if you have this kind of diversity, automatically you are generating the microbes, you are activating the microbes below the soil to produce variety of beneficial insects. Then the role of the Drava Jivamrita or various tonics that comes down. And as I told you, there are three different areas. One is the rhizosphere. So that the root zone. The other is the phyllosphere. So people apply panchakavya during the leaves, during the flowering stage. So it has its own effect. There are other tonics that are applied. So these are variety of practices. Palekar has a list. There are other practitioners who have other lists. So it depends on a farmer's, trial and error. As of now, I don't think there's any particular, saying that only this will work, this will not work. And that is why this waste decomposer also, people are finding it works, they're using it. But Mr. Palekar opposed it, saying that, no, it's generating only one kind of bacteria. But you see, even till today, scientists have not yet determined that the Drava Jivamrita, Gana Jivamrita that you're applying on the soil, you're not injecting it into the soil, isn't it? You're applying it on the soil. Yeah. You're applying organic amendments, farmyard manure, compost. It's applied on the soil. So what is the role of the microbes in these compounds, in Gana Jivamrit, Drava Jivamrit? What does it do? When I explored with scientists, so obviously it is not providing any nutrition. That's not their role. What I'm beginning to understand is that these microbes are actually acting as switches. They are they're sending some signals to the microbes below the soil. They are not adding directly to the microbial code, maybe some indirectly. The only microbial portion that you are adding, which is going into the soil, is Bijamrit. And also, if you coat Gana Jivamrit with seed to make a seed pellet, then you are pushing it into the soil. So the science is still, evolving. What exactly is the role of these inoculums? They're called biostimulants. They're called different names. So research is going on as to exactly they do. So I think these are the important questions that I've been able to discern from you. If there's anything else, I think we can, just send a mail. I'll send it to you, send a reply to you. But this was, I thought, was the most important question.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yeah.
So what I gather from this is that experiments are the only way that we can find a way out.
Trial and error, yes. But
documentation is also very important.
What is most powerful is what is in our hands, is the diversity of the crops above ground. That is in your hands.
Yes.
Can you have trees? Can you have creepers? Can you have shrubs? So if you do that, so you have vertical farming and you have diverse horizontal farming, because what is important in the soil is what is called as fungal bacteria ratio. So the more the ratio is in favor of fungi, the better. If you have more bacteria, you'll have more weeds. So to improve this, the role of biomass, the role of living roots is extremely important. So whatever crop diversity you can bring above ground, extremely favorable. And if you can ensure that your soil has diverse crops, including trees. So vertical, horizontal diversity across 365 days of the year. If you do that planning, that is in your hands. What kind of microbes are there? Frankly, not many people know, but yes, if you are aware of some research, people are doing that research actually. In fact, a lot of money is being spent in the West to identify which are those fungi and bacteria which are drought proof. So can we put that in semi-arid soils? That research is still going on. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Sir, we have 2 more questions. I wanted to just ask Shrikant, we have exceeded 16 minutes. Can we go for another 10 minutes? Is that fine?
Yes. I have already extended the meeting. No issues.
Okay. So there is Prachur Goel. I'm unmuting him. Prachur, can you please go ahead and ask your question? We'll just take 2 questions. Prachur and Sai Sandhya. 2 questions are there.
Right.
Hello. Prachur, please speak. Yeah.
And if earlier Jyotirmai can unmute and speak, I think she was waiting to ask a question.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, please. Prachur.
Yes, sir. I was. I wanted to ask that I joined a bit late. I'm not sure if
introduce yourself.
Sir, I work with Socrates Foundation. This was started by Mr. Anand Padmanabhan, who I think knows you.
Yeah, of course.
I had a question on this, sir. What is the and I joined a bit late, so I'm sorry if this has been covered earlier. But is there like the costs of labor, if we incorporate into the cost of farming, does it turn out to be is there systematic evidence across context that shows that natural farming is more profitable for the farmer after we account for differences in yields?
It depends on whether you're a big landlord or you're a farm worker or you're a small marginal farmer. If you're a marginal farmer, if natural farming increases the labor content, it's not the income. So these are not very, this depends on the perspective. So we have research on that we can mail to you. So this is not very relevant actually. If you are a landless farm worker, if you can create more work for yourself, why not? So it depends on your perspective.
Also, sir, please, our cost of cultivations have come down also because of the subsidy of the fertilizers, pesticides, we never taken into account. The moment you take that subsidy, then natural farming is a big winner in terms of the cost. It will,
That's right.
it
Yes,
will offset
yes.
everything else. It will offset everything else.
But one more way, you see, Prachur, please remember that as time passes, say a farmer is doing it in the 3rd year, in the 4th year, what happens is natural farming is enlisting allies. So more beneficial bacteria, more beneficial fungi, birds, butterflies. So they are doing what the farmer would have done. So the ploughing, no need for ploughing. The microbes are doing it, the earthworms are doing it. Earthworms are creating beautiful water channels. So the farmer is not alone. The farmer and the life as he or she has generated in the farm, they are big allies of the farmer. So over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it actually becomes do nothing farm, what Bhaskar Save called it long ago. So how do you ensure that every living creature in your plot of land is actually working for you? That is the beauty of this farming. That once you're able to move in that direction, so farmers' leisure increases. After some time, they don't even have to add this Gana Jivamrit, Drava Jivamrit also. If the root exudates quantity, quality, diversity increases, and they have reached a critical mass that, there's a beautiful cycle, 365 days, green cover, plenty of root exudates coming in. So you don't have to put any other external amendments. So it's not proper to take one snapshot. It's also proper to understand these processes and see where there's no need for any botanical pesticide. If you have increased the population of friendly beneficial insects, the birds population. So we don't have to use Nimastra, Brahmastra, Agniastra also. So that's it. Yeah, next.
Sai Sandhya, just a second. Yeah, please go ahead and speak, unmute and speak, Sai Sandhya. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yes.
I'm Sai Sandhya Raut. I'm a student at College of Horticulture from OUAT. So my question is, when we are using organic manures and everything, but then we are having access to all the macronutrients. But what if even micronutrients deficiency, we are having some disorders in the crops after repeated cultivation. So how can we get over them by natural farming?
Okay, but who told you that through natural farming that you are getting deficiency disorders? You see, how do you do soil testing? You are testing the top 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters. What do you do to know what is the micronutrient availability in your soil? You test the soil, isn't it?
Yes,
Is
sir.
it the top 20 centimeters? Top 20 centimeters? Yeah, that is how you take the soil, you perhaps, excavate up to 20 centimeters. So what soil testing that is active testing right now? We are testing available nutrients. That means what is already available in a solution form which roots can take, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
Our root hair in the chemical agriculture system is able to take the nutrients in available form. Now,
so if we find like zinc is deficient in the soil, then it will lead to chira disease in wheat. So how can we manage that?
One second. How do you say that zinc is deficient? You tell me that.
by soil testing.
Yeah.
We will
Our,
take a sample
yeah.
from randomly from.
One second. Our soil testing is defective. Our soil testing is not testing total zinc in the soil. Is testing what is called as available zinc.
Yes,
And
sir.
yes, so it is also testing the zinc which is available in the top 20 centimeters. Whereas in natural farming, through the root exudates, through the microbial action, the soil fungi, they can go up to 1 meter, they can go up to 2 meters to get nutrients. And they are not dependent on available nutrients. They are able to make what are called as lock nutrients. They make it into bioavailable form. So in our natural farming fields, we are not facing any micronutrient deficiency. And artificially adding zinc is not a cost-effective solution. And you know how zinc, if you add zinc in a synthetic form, do you know how much of that zinc actually goes into the plant?
No.
Do you know that? Hardly 1%, 2%. That means the farmer is losing 98%, 99% to get 1%. And who does it benefit? It benefits those who are zinc to the farmer. So it's not required. You make your soil healthy, and there is plenty of zinc available. It is has to be made bioavailable. It is there if you see the total zinc, and then you're looking. You look at 1 meter. You look at 2 meters. So the soil fungi, the mycorrhizae, they go very deep, and they're able to bring nutrients from great depths. Able to get nutrients. So the way they absorb nutrients, the way they make nutrients available to the plants is very different from us. Called a cation exchange mechanism. You must have studied that. So the microbial population makes it more efficient.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll just try Jyotirmay once. If,
Yeah, and then we can close. Maybe
yes.
Murli can come in now. Yes,
Yes.
Jyotirmay wants to speak.
I've sent an unmuting request, or else we'll proceed with Murli, sir.
She still raised her hand.
Yeah. Please unmute yourself, Jyotirmay.
You unmute her.
Sir, I can just ask her to unmute. She has to unmute from her end. She has that access now. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I think she's not.
Okay, then I think we'll now, yeah, Murli.
No, so we are running late. I think we'll end with this note that there are many SRLMs and there are many organizations where our YPs have moved on in life. They went to other organizations elsewhere. They are working in the agriculture area, self-help area. And wherever they have any request to work with us, we should be able to invite them to come and work, sir. We'll be able to help in some whatever way we can do, technical help or document help, reasoning help or apprentice help. We'll be able to offer. So that is what we want to communicate from our side. And any more discussion deeper than this is required, you come with a dedicated group. We'll discuss more about the what and how and why of the natural farming. I think we're open to that idea. I think the other thing I want to, the young people, more than 1,000 of them, all over the country who have been in our state SRLMs and then NRLM, NARD and otherwise, quite a number, sir. I think they are doing a wonderful service and they should get into this path-breaking work which will be useful to the world, which will be useful to the poor, particularly women and men farmers, and will be able to feed the world with the non-chemical food, which is useful. I think we look forward to working with all of you once again.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Murli, sir. I have few questions. That is before we end.
Yeah.
That we have discussed. The natural farming and how schemes like we discussed about NRLM, how it can supplement and complement the natural farming to self-help group women members. So I need your insights. How we can build up about Mahatma Gandhi Narega. You spoke some example from Andhra Pradesh, but could you light us on that?
In Mahatma Gandhi Narega, we are trying to see how we can reclaim degraded lands through a tree-based model, so that the farmers' costs of plant material, farmers' costs of maintaining them. So there are some provisions in the Narega horticulture model. So we are using that for drought proofing and for greening of degraded lands. So that is where Narega is useful, not in the sense of using it for saving of labor. No. So that's what we are using Narega for. So we just sent this to the Commissioner of Rural Development, and we are hoping that it will come through. By next week, we'll get this and we'll circulate that to all of you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, this Jyotirmai has sent a message, sir.
I've seen that.
Yes, sir. She has a poor network. She is a research scholar from IIT Kharagpur. She wants to understand the policies recommended to increase the adoption rate and expansion behavior of the ZBNF farmers.
Yeah, that's what the whole presentation was about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think only those who have worked with the missions can instinctively understand how the scaling up happens. So I would very strongly advise her that I have said there are two pillars: the women self-help groups, the farmers collectives. So they have to be involved. They have to take the leadership. And number two, the person who is providing this knowledge should be a practicing farmer and willing to spend time with the communities in motivating them for this change. Yeah. Yes, Shrikant, carry on.
Yes. Yeah. Is there any other question? Any other participants still wish to ask some questions? We are okay to take up because we extend the meeting time, or else we'll move down. Yeah.
Just one thing,
Yeah,
just
Swati.
1 minute I'll take. So we have a natural farming fellowship program where we invite, we take young agriculture graduates, horticulture graduation, and allied sector graduates. They are deployed in villages. They take land on lease, and their roles and responsibility is to just become a model natural farmer. So this has really helped us to get a lot of young blood in the program, and it has these people have now gone on to become part of the village agriculture assistant of the state government and elsewhere, and taking the natural farming thinking and methodology to government programs also. So I will just request, sir, if there can be SRLMs, if they're interested, to send some natural farming enthusiasts for some fellowship for 6 months, if that can be recommended.
Yeah, I think what I suggest is, I think Murli and Shrikant, if we do a thing of the young professionals still working in those SRLMs, and we will target 5-6 SRLMs for this work. So we can have a dialogue with the state mission directors, state mission management unit, and the young professionals there, and then see what kind of collaboration can, including this apprenticeship program.
Yeah, okay, sir. Sure.
Sure, sir.
Okay, Shrikant, we will close it now.
Yes, sir. Sir, before just closing, I want to quote one of our secretaries still into the civil services. He sent me a message saying that this is what he heard while working with you in Delhi. He mentioned that this is very important message and should be circulated. He requested to hide the name. So he said, sir once told me that the farmer is the only man in our economy who buys everything at retail, sells everything at wholesale, and pays the freight or taxes at both ways. The ultimate goal for farming is not growing of crops, but the cultivation and to create a perfect human being who really cares for the world, for the planet, for future. This is you must be guessing who to think. This is the entire session that you laid, sir. Is people have been talking about this. Most of this young professional also arguing with many news articles and everything without evidence, saying that how the natural farming is may not be sustainable, may not be profitable for the people, how a poor farmer can take up this, how a large farmer can take up this, and your entire presentation take it step by step, and how people are messaging me privately, how a layman can understand from this presentation. So thank you very much, sir. And as Murli sir also suggested, once this team, whoever working in SRLMs or NGOs or millet missions or MKSME, CMSA, if they want in detail training or in detail workshop, we still have the technical know-how and facilities. So if they come up with some special request or support, definitely we go in length and will provide all necessary support, because the end target is how to save the planet as well as how to save the interest of marginal farmers and the people who is consuming the food. Sir, in between there is a question from Aditya Dhuri. He is asking, I think Swati or anyone can respond to this. Can a BA graduate apply for this fellowship? I have 4 years of natural farming experience. So this Swati, are you online?
Yeah, but I can see expression of Vijay Kumar sir for that. So the idea is
as of now we had kept it open only for agriculture graduates, so that they learn from us and then they are useful to the state mission which has sponsored them. So we had not thought of this is a good idea that he has given, Aditya has given, that somebody has years of natural farming, why can't they? This is a good idea that you have given, Aditya. We'll think about it. As of now, our scheme was meant for agriculture or horticulture graduates or people in microbiology. So we had not looked at people who had farming experience. So definitely you have given a new thought to us. We'll definitely think about it. Okay then. So I'd like to thank Ekant and all the young people. You have to do it for yourself, for your own survival, your children. So as I told you, it's not a job anymore. We are running against time, and if we don't work on this seriously, and governments, people, and take this message to young people, students, college students, school students, we have to take this message that how urgent it is, how urgent they should all come together. So I am afraid that we are in a very bad situation, and what we have seen, COVID is only a symptom of a bigger malaise. So COVID is going to lead to economic recession, but and COVID may perhaps be brought under control through a vaccine or through medicines, through lockdowns. But climate emergency cannot come under control through a lockdown. So it has, except farmers reversing destructive land management to regenerative land management, there is nobody else who can solve this problem. Please take it from me. So 570 million farmers across the world, and time is running out, and that is the big challenge for youngsters. So please take it very seriously, and there's a lot of science behind it. I will send you a material. So don't worry, don't waste time reading those articles. See the happiness on farmers' faces once they switch over to natural farming. Farmers, and most of the farmers told me that our stress has gone, our tensions have gone, our health has improved. That is as scientific as some scholar sitting somewhere who doesn't do farming, does some mathematical calculations or does some survey. Now it's called WhatsApp University. So that kind of research happens and comes out, organic farming is dangerous. It does this, it does that. So this is, perhaps the biggest challenge that humanity faces. I can't think of a bigger challenge than this. And therefore, all other problems that we have to submerge that, because there's a huge crisis, very big crisis in front of us. We have to overcome small differences. We should work with everyone, and we cannot waste time in fighting. It is time to do something constructive with our hands, with the lands that we have. There is no other solution. So with this, I thank Shrikant and thank all of you youngsters who are here, and I look forward to taking this in select SRLMs, or if you are attached to NGOs and those NGOs want to work with us, there's a national coalition now formed for National Coalition for Natural Farming, and please get in touch with us, get in touch with Murli. So NGOs, SRLMs, and individual professionals, whoever is keen that to join this mission of saving ourselves as individuals, then saving our neighbors, then saving our village, saving humanity. So please join us, and I wish you all the very best in your work, and look forward to this conversation taking a practical shape in different states. And we are with you. My entire team is with you. We have a large team of 6,000 champion farmers. We want to multiply that number to about 6 lakh champion farmers, so that they can go anywhere in the country and support any organization, bring about a change in those villages. So that is our ambition, to groom, to nurture change makers who have that practical experience and who also have the desire, the motivation to do this work. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you to all the participants for your participation. We'll definitely take it up, sir. Thanks. Keep guiding us. Bye, sir. Take care. Take care, everyone.